multiverse and are the arch nemesis of the Scarlet King himself, whom, if you didn't know, is said to be the father of SCP-682 and SCP-999. SCP-1440 was a soldier in a realm far beyond the mortal bounds of space and time who lost his life in a war. But instead of submitting to the brother's death like his comrades, he was like, fuck that shit, so he challenged them to a card game and won his path to the world of the living. And after winning his freedom, he was so confident that he kept challenging them over and over and over again in order to acquire glory, power, and immortality. His first prize was a cup of the elixir of life, which can cure those at death's door. Probably not shocking. His second prize were the cards of fate, which allowed him to revive mass groups of people who died from wars and disputes. And although they lasted him longer than the elixir did, they eventually became ineffective. The third prize was a sack which belonged to the oldest and most powerful brother, the All-Death, which could contain pretty much anything within it, from the strongest and darkest creatures of otherworldly origin, furious natural disasters, and even city-wiping fires that threaten mankind. These extra-dimensional beings were so salty with him that SCP-1440 was cursed by bringing destruction everywhere he went, since anything that is connected to humanity or civilization is passively destroyed if SCP-1440 is within its vicinity for a few days. And due to this nature, he cannot be contained, and even on-site nuclear weapons are ineffective. If you have watched the Bleach anime before, you can think of his ability being similar to that of the Espada named Baragon, who controlled an aspect of death and could rot away virtually anything that he came into contact with. Since the Foundation has no way to secure, contain, much less destroy this being, he poses a huge threat at first glance. But due to him lacking malicious intent and actively wanting to seclude himself from mankind to avoid their destruction, the chances of him actively wanting to wipe us out is quite low. But if the brothers' death really wanted to, and they have, they could move him at will with instantaneous effects to wipe out mankind, which has happened in alternate realities. Coming up is a controversial SCP-1427, a nuclear-powered bronze steel located in North Korea. Yeah, we're going there. That frequently emits electromagnetic pulses in order to scan human consciousness. But for what purpose? According to the document, SCP-1427 was built tens of thousands of years ago by a heavily advanced, potentially alien, giant hominid species called Homo sapiens descensus that created the steel in order to turn typical Homo sapiens sapiens and other hominids into mindless slaves to do the bidding. You see, the frequency the steel emits essentially makes people very submissive to authoritarian rule by affecting their prefrontal cortex, and therefore they become far less likely to speak out or become aware against unjust conditions the rulers have set up for them. Generally speaking, their subjective consciousness becomes eradicated or heavily suppressed. Similar objects to SCP-1427 were mass destroyed by Homo sapiens, with the steel seemingly being the only survivor of this ancient culture due to its indestructible qualities and resistance to nuclear attacks. Because, yes, they tried nuking it and it didn't destroy it, although it did